Today we'll be talking about ethanol, how it's made, how it works, and can it damage your engine? Spoiler alert, it can. We'll be talking about that and more after this intro. I am Sam and you're watching Cartalks. For us to know if ethanol really damages our engines, we first need to know how it's made. Ethanol is basically ethyl alcohol, the same type of alcohol found in alcoholic beverages, but is used as fuel. During production, starch from plants is fermented and distilled into sugars, which microbes turn into ethanol. It's the same way you make beer or vodka. There's a couple of ways to make fuel-grade ethanol, but the most common is the dry mill method. The grain passes through a grinding mill and comes out as powder. The mixture made of this grain powder, water, and enzyme enter into a high-heat cooker. This enzyme converts the starch into sugars that can be fermented to create alcohol. But we are making ethanol, so the yeast is added to the sugar mixture to begin the fermentation process. Yeast digests the sugar, breaking it down into ethanol and carbon dioxide. Then a dehydration process removes the water from the separated ethanol. Often, a small amount of gasoline is added to make the ethanol non-potable. It doesn't mean you can carry around, it means you can drink it. We all know what happens if people know there's alcohol in something. Now that we know how ethanol is made, let's see what happens when we bring it to mainstream fuels. It takes a lot of land to make not a lot of corn ethanol, and creating significant amount of energy from food crops would deplete the amount of land available for growing actual fruit crops for people to eat. Each acre of corn can yield about 328 gallons of corn ethanol. That's a lot of corn for not much fuel. So it's fine as a bridge or a supplemental fuel, but it doesn't make a lot of sense as a primary fuel. Ethanol blended gas is labeled as E10, E15 and sometimes E85. The number after the E indicates the percentage of ethanol by volume. So E10 has up to 10% ethanol. All automakers approve blend up to E10 in their vehicles. By volume, ethanol contains about 1/3 less energy compared to petrols. Drivers shouldn't really notice a performance loss while driving. In fact, some vehicles perform better with more torque and horsepower when running on ethanol mixed fuels. The big question now, is ethanol bad for your engine? Sometimes. In newer engines, E10 oxygenated gasoline can be safely used with minimal inconveniences like a slight decrease in mileage and fuel efficiency. But many other types of engines are not designed to resist the possible damaging effects of ethanol fuel. Ethanol attracts and absorbs water, including water from the air. If the car sits for a while, fuel separation occurs. This is when petrol separates from water and causes two layers. And when the engine sucks up the water, it causes water lock and hydrolocking engine and causes some serious damage in your engine. Ethanol is alcohol. And alcohol causes rust problems and corrosion in fuel systems. Metal parts rust and plastic parts deform or crack. Lot of older cars have problems with ethanol fuels. But if you drive your car enough, you don't really need to worry about ethanol. There's also the concern that ethanol reduces the lubricating properties of gasoline. Petrol is naturally a lubricant, which when mixed with ethanol reduces its lubricating qualities, which may cause damage to the piston rings, pistons, and the cylinder walls. And people are worried it may ruin their engine. But don't worry, good oil companies take great measures to make sure that their petrol minimizes engine wear. So modern gas in modern vehicles shouldn't really be a problem. If there's so many disadvantages to ethanol, why do we use it then? Most of India's fuel is imported from other countries. Even with 15% of ethanol being mixed into the fuels, it saves a lot of money, which in turn is passed down to the customer as lower fuel prices. With all the fuel price increases, that's what we hope happens. Ethanol, when mixed in with fuel, is a fuel burn cleaner, which reduces tailpipe emission for gas vehicles and reduces the global warming impact from cars. Now, the big question, can ethanol mixed fuels damage your cars? Fairly newer cars with reputed fuel brands will not damage your engine, you will be fine. But for people with older cars, we recommend you to pump fuels from reputable fuel brands so their damage to your engine is minimized. And now that you've learned how ethanol is made, the advantages and disadvantages of using ethanol, we need to see where the future of India is heading. With everything we have learned till now, the government plans for 20% ethanol mixture in fuels in India by 2050. With all the disadvantages in mind, ethanol isn't really a fix for our pollution problem. It can only act as a bridging technology for electric or hydrogen cars to take over. As sad as it is to say, gas cars may not last for that long with all the new electric cars coming to India. We here at Cartalks want to make high quality enthusiast content for you guys in India. And for that, all you have to do is subscribe, drop a like, let us know what you think about today's video, and tell us what video you want to see in the future. We'll meet you next week with another great video. Until then, peace out.